that the Lord gave me the other day. You give me a few minutes. I want to break this down. This is going to be a teachable moment. And then I'm going to get out of the way because you know how on Easter everybody got stuff they be wanting to do. But God gave me this. He gave me this topic. Where is the lamb? Where is the lamb? You know, I preach a lot of times about how Abraham had good credit with God. The Bible says that Abraham, what did he do? He believed God. And the Bible says that it was credited to him as righteousness. And we know that Abraham became one of the richest men in the world. Why? Because he what? Believed God. But there is something about the story of Abraham that I just want to point out to you. Abraham was tasked to sacrifice his son. And if we could get the scriptures up for Genesis 22, 1 through 14. I want to walk you through this. How Abraham was celebrating the risen king before he even died. Before he was bruised for our iniquities and all of that stuff. So I'm going to start at verse 1. And I just want y'all to flow with me just for a few minutes and I'm going to get out of your way. It says, sometime later, God tested Abraham's faith. Abraham, God called. Yes, he replied. Here I am. He said, take your son, your only son, yes, Isaac, whom you love so much, and go to the land of Moriah. Go and sacrifice him as a burnt offering on one of the mountains, which I will show you. The next morning, Abraham got up early. He saddled his donkey, took two of his servants with him, along with his son Isaac. He chopped the wood for fire for a burnt offering, set out for the place God told him about. And on the third day, somebody say third day, Abraham looked up and saw the place in the distance. Stay here with the donkey. Abraham told the servants, listen, I want y'all to remember this. On the third day, he said, the boy and I will travel a little farther. We will worship there, and then we will come right back. Say, we'll come right back. Y'all remember that. So Abraham placed the wood for the burnt offering on Isaac's shoulders, while he himself carried the fire and the knife as the two of them walked on together. Isaac turned to Abraham and said, Father. He said, yes, my son. Abraham replied, we have the fire and the wood, the boy said, but where is the sheep for the burnt offering? Abraham replied, God will provide a sheep for the burnt offering for my son. Now, another translation says, God will provide a lamb. Right? God will provide a lamb for the burnt offering, my son, Abraham answered. And they both walked on together. When they arrived at the place where God had told him to go, Abraham built an altar and arranged the wood on it. He tied his son Isaac, laid him on the altar. Abraham picked up the knife. He was ready to kill his son for sacrifice. But wait. At that moment, the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven, Abraham, Abraham. Yes, Abraham replied, here I am. He said, don't lay a hand on the boy. The angel said, do not hurt him in any way. For now I know that you truly fear God. You have not withheld from me even your son, your only son. Then Abraham looked up and saw a ram. What did Abraham tell them was going to be in the bushes? A lamb. What showed up? A ram. Have you ever thought about that? That Abraham told them that God would provide a lamb for the sacrifice. But what showed up in the bushes that God provided was a ram. So Abraham named the place Yahweh Yara, which means the Lord will provide. That's where we get Jehovah Jireh, on the mountaintop. Now, this is what I want to break down. What is the difference between a lamb and a ram? If Abraham said a lamb will show up, but a ram showed up, what is the difference? The ram showed up in verse 13. A ram is a male sheep. Rams can be a male or female. If it's a ewe, it's called a female. If it's a male, it's a ram. Now, what is a lamb? lamb is a young sheep that hasn't reached maturity. He told his servants that they're going to worship on the third day. On the third day, God was going to provide a lamb. On the third day, God provided a ram. Why did God not provide a lamb? Because he had to have a ram, meaning that the ram reached full maturity to be used and sacrificed by God. A lamb was one that was young, was a baby, but he needed a ram for the sacrifice. Somebody that had come into the maturity of who he was. Now understand this, a lamb and a ram are both sheep, but there are different types of sheep. I need the one that's mature. I need the one that's ready for the next level. So that's the one I'm going to put in the bushes for you. But get this. Now when Abraham told his servant, and I'm finna close this out. When Abraham told his servant, he said, you know what? He said, we're going to go up here on the third day and we're going to worship, and then me and the boy are going to be back. But look at what he had. This is the mindset of Abraham that we didn't even know. Go with me to Hebrews. Pull that up. In Hebrews chapter 11, verses 17 and 19. It talks about the faith of Abraham. It was by faith that Abraham offered Isaac as a sacrifice when God was testing him. Abraham, who had received God's promises, was ready to sacrifice his only son Isaac, even though God had told him, Isaac is the son through whom your descendants will be counted. Now look at the next verse. Here's your key, and I'm closing this out. Abraham reasoned, watch this, I'm going up to the mountaintop. The third day, we're going to go up to worship, but me and the son are going to come back down. He reasoned that if Isaac died, that God was going to resurrect him and bring him back to life. So Abraham went on the mountaintop knowing that if I killed this little boy, that on the third day he was going to resurrect him and bring him back to life. Come on, somebody. Y'all got to follow me with this. On the third day, what happened with Jesus? He rose. See, Abraham, his faith was so crazy that he said, we're going to worship. But he went up there knowing that he was going to kill his son and God was going to resurrect him, and we're going to go right back down the hill and we're going to talk to our servants and we're going to keep doing life together. God used. He didn't even though Abraham knew that this was something that God could do before he even died and did all of this stuff, he knew that God was able to do it. And he was going to use a ram to do it. He said lamb, but God said, no, I'm going to send a mature one. That's good. I'm going to send a mature one. Are you the mature one that God could use? That God is causing you to sacrifice some stuff in your life. God is causing you to let go of some things. God is causing you to get to another level. But he don't need you as a lamb. He needs you as a ram. Amen. He needs you as the mature one. Amen. Y'all receive that today? Come on and bless the Lord.